So can I, speaking of like Canadians getting upset, you want to hear about Grandma Liz Grandma Liz?
Your grandma Liz?
No,
Just
Grandma Liz.
metaphorical grandma Liz?
I have wonderful memories of this place. Just wonderful.
93-year-old Liz Diachin has had this farm property in Warkworth, northeast of Coburg, for 58 years. Across the road in front of her home is a small plot of land she owns. Since her daughter and grandson each currently rent homes, she decided to give them the land to help out.
There's a couple of lots there that you could build on. And of course, they were thrilled.
Diachin's lawyer told her even though
She's pretty spry for a 93-year-old.
she was giving the
I
land
can't
away,
really hear you when the clip's
Get
up
it
and
appraised.
try and talk.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
to pay capital gains.
And I said, why should I pay?
Giving the land away, she would still have to get it appraised to pay capital gains.
And I said, why should I pay capital gain? You know, I'm not selling it to them. I'm gifting it to them.
One lot has a hydro tower on it and the other is partial wetlands. Still, it was valued at over $250,000. Diachin was told she must pay $40,000 in capital gains taxes.
I said, are you kidding? Are you kidding? I'm on pension. Like, how am I going to pay for that?
The government said changes to the capital gains system will only impact Canada's richest citizens.
I don't think we need to play Chrystia Freeland. I think we know what she's going to say. But, I mean, isn't it just gross, right? She's just trying to gift her kids some land. If this is all accurate, it seems legit, you know? Meanwhile, like billions, trillions is going to NGOs all over the world. And they want to tax a grandma for gifting her kids some land. Like it's infuriating. As if I got so much to talk about. Do you want me to go into
the report?
What?
Did you have the report?
Which report?
The inquiry report with the trillions that are going into this stuff?
Well, kind of. I mean, I got this here. It's crazy.
All right, well, use mine because I have the actual report.
Okay.
Oh man, I have too many things open.
I know it's just it's crazy. But I want to give a shout out to Nia Fanner still because I mean she's done a lot of good work lately on this Canadian government. She's saying that while Darren pulls up the report, I'll just read this. Bloody hell, I had no idea it was this much. Canadian government gave 1.5 trillion. That's 1,500 billion is what that is. To Canadian charities over 9 years. How much? I can't believe the number, actually. I don't even know if this is, I mean, I trust Nia's work because so far it's been really good, but I mean, I really have a hard time believing that number.
So the study comes from this. It's some Deloitte, whatever Deloitte is.
Deloitte, and that's one of the main accounting firms and stuff, right? Deloitte and Touche or whatever.
Yeah, it's the Anti-Alberta Energy Inquiry.
Anti-Alberta Energy? Wow.
Yeah, introduction, Deloitte Forensic, Inc. Deloitte was engaged by Dentons Canada LLP to assist Jackson Stevens Allen as a commissioner in connection with a public inquiry into anti-Alberta energy campaigns that are supported in whole or in part by foreign funding. The inquiry is conducted pursuant to the terms of reference, which are referred to in the commissioner's report. Deloitte was instructed to undertake the following: review materials gathered by Ms. Vivian Krause in respect to financial assistance from foreign organizations and assess the materials' accuracy. 2, assist, gather, investigate, source, and interpret additional materials obtained by the inquiry. 3, consider the amount of foreign funding supporting anti-Alberta energy campaigns. And 4, provide the report on Deloitte's findings. Deloitte understands that Deloitte's information, analysis, and findings contained in its report may be relied on and referred to in the Commissioner's report, which will be provided to the Minister of Energy for the province of Alberta and subsequently be released to the public.
Wow.
Deloitte further understands that the report may be disclosed to certain persons or organizations, or published broadly by the commissioner. So, commissioner instructed, blah, blah, blah. This is kind of what they did, how they did it, the methodology. I don't think we need to get into
No,
all
we don't need
that.
to get into that.
Let me know if you see
Maybe
anything.
just what an ENGO is. I was kind of looking. Is that an environmental NGO? I believe. Does it have definitions at the front that says what an ENGO is? It must be Enviro NGO because that's what NIA has here.
Yeah, that would make sense. Environmental non-governmental organization.
Yeah.
We're used for Canadian ENGOs. So let's skip down here.
The results are mind blowing. Actually, this should make every Canadian weep.
So here's some of their findings. So here's from the Canadian sector. So
Okay.
number 30, the Canadian sector has a large footprint in Canadian society and the economy. According to Bloomberg's, Canadian charities had revenues of over 284 billion and expenditures of approximately 271 billion in 2018. Noticeable highlights of the Canadian charity sector, according to Bloomberg's, for the period from 2010 to 2018, inclusive, are as follows. So the interesting about this is it's half conservatives. So this is 5 years of Harper and 5 years of Trudeau. An average of 84,000 charities filed tax returns. Anyway, I don't want to get into all that. Here's the foreign funding chart, but I'm more interested in the...
Well, actually, the other highlighted lines you have, you might as well read. I mean, yeah, just the ones about the revenues and stuff.
Assets held by charities have grown approximately 273.2 billion in 2010 to approximately 465.2 billion in 2018.
Doubled in 8 years.
Revenues totaled approximately 2.2 trillion. Government funding totaled approximately 1.5
trillion. I was
trillion.
just going to question Nia on that because I'm like, well, maybe that's just the charity's revenue, not from the government, but
Government funding totaled approximately 1.5 trillion. Federal 72.6 billion, provincial 1.3 trillion, and municipal 85.9 billion. Receipted gifts and fundraising totaled approximately 141.3 billion. Foreign funding totaled approximately 14.9 billion, and employee compensation totaled approximately 1.2 trillion.
holy,
Employee
what a
compensation. I mean, we need to get in on this grift.
This is great because remember that when we were doing the climate change stuff and I was talking about this NGO web, right? The government funds this NGO web and this think tank who then goes into all these NGOs that are all already supporting the narrative because that's the only way they're getting money if they're supporting the narrative, and they all come back and then they write these reports for the government to do their policies, and this is like the totals of all that.
Yeah. So here's a summary of foreign funding received by Canadian charities from 2010 to 2018. 2010, 812 billion. 2011, 82,000 charities got 1.1 trillion. 2012, 84,000 charities got 1.23 trillion. So there's a bunch coming in from that'd be 812 million, and that'd be 1 billion. That's in billions. So that's 1.1 billion foreign funding in 2011 to 2.5 billion in foreign funding of Canadian charities in 2018, which is fine. I mean, it's not good, but what the foreigners are doing is less important to me than what the government is doing, which is, I think, did I miss that chart? No, I did. That chart is, I have that chart here somewhere. It's in this report that shows what the government is spending specifically.
The one with the
here's the no, this is by company instead of by year.
Funding of Canadian totally 1.2 billion. Canadian government, environment activists, NGOs. I think I've got it. It's table 12, I think.
Here it is. Table 8. Table 8. So government funding.
Yeah, that's the 1.5 trillion. That's the breakdown of the 1.5 trillion.
As outlined in paragraph 20, the Canadian charity sector is heavily funded by federal, provincial, and municipal governments. Total government funding to charities totaled approximately 1.5 trillion over the period 2010 to 2018. Charities funded by the government include school boards and universities, provincial healthcare authorities, religious organizations, charities engaged in poverty and hunger reduction, various research organizations, ENGOs, enviro-legals, conservative market-oriented orgs, and others. A summary of government funding received by Canadian charities, according to Bloomberg Snapshot, over the period 2010 to 2018, is reflected in the table below. So 2010, the government gave $142 billion with a B to charities. And in 2018, it's 189 billion to total $1.49 trillion total given to that.
What's the government's revenue from taxes even? Like, to put that into context. I mean, how is that? I'm just blown away by these numbers, actually. And the amount of charities, like 84,000 charities.
It's crazy. It's fucking nuts. I mean, here's your ENGOs. They got 720 million from the feds, 500 million from provincials, and 781 million from provincial government or municipal governments to total.
So this is not the charities. This is the
billion.
2.1 billion or trillion?
Billion to NGOs.
To NGOs. Over at what does it say the years for that one?
That would be for the total 8 years.
Yeah. Do you ever wonder how bad it is since 2018? I mean, imagine what 2019, 20, 2021, 2022. I'd love to see the next 4 years.
So here's 2004 to 2014. There's a bunch of redacted ones, like 209 million to these people, whoever they are.
Yeah. Tides is in their World Wildlife Fund. David Suzuki.
300 grand, 100 grand to Greenpeace. Like, really? Should we be giving Greenpeace money? That was from the feds. 5 million to redacted. The Pembina Institute, 414 total. 414 million total to those ENGOs that you were talking about.
From federal funding.
And then there's a ton of pages of sources. I mean, I don't think we need to dig into all of it, but yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
$1.5 trillion. I mean, I don't know what's our GDP is only like 2 trillion.
That's what I'm asking. Like, how close is this to to our even just our tax revenue that we're supposed to get? So I mean, I'm going to just stick on this because this is her thing too. This is kind of overlapping what we just talked about, but I don't know if you've seen this. So this is a thread from Zoltan, and I'm not going to get into this whole thread because it's just about Democrat politicians and stuff like that. But I will show here that prior to the pandemic, so this is going over all this corruption, right? So let's see here. Does anyone remember, where am I going to start here? Anand became known as the food bank lady. This is Anita Anand, the food bank lady, right? She took a tone-deaf photo op by the food bank, got excoriated by it. Anyone remember these random and creepy Canadian COVID testing facilities that popped up everywhere, right? Remember those?
I do.
She helped award millions in government contracts to Life Labs and did not see it as necessary to disclose any potential conflict of interest, despite the fact that her husband worked for Life Labs as a director. Prior to the pandemic, Life Labs was awarded only 3 federal contracts in 2019 worth $134,000. She was first elected on October 21st, 2019, made Public Works Minister on November 20th. Shortly thereafter, Life Labs reportedly received a COVID testing contract worth $66 million and a separate $1.9 million contract on August 20th when she was Minister of Public Works. Her department later told the Canadian press more that Life Labs also received a contract worth up to $111 million for testing services in Yukon, BC, and Saskatchewan. So There you go. This is what's going on, right? Just get into politics and award your friends and your relatives contracts.
That seemed to be the way it goes. I'm sure a bunch of that 1.5 trillion is going to your buddy's charity, of which, I mean, out of 2 trillion collected, over half of it went to salaries. So that's before you even get into like the expenses.
Well, yeah, I don't know what's happening, but people are going after where these foreign fundings are going, right? I mean, it's gonna start cracking open. I mean, because X is, for all the shitty parts of X, I mean, it is allowing some of this stuff that the media should be touching on to sort of go viral. But women in Afghanistan are not permitted. All this stuff here, right? With that, the Liberal government of Canada has given Afghanistan 1.2 billion tax dollars since 2017. 1.2 billion. I mean, all this foreign stuff is coming out. I think there's something in here that I've got saved from right here. This is from Marty up north. They just love wasting our money. Look at these causes. Look at these lost causes. A gender responsive systems approach to universal health care in the Philippines. We heard about this one, 7.2 million. That's not too bad. That's just one of 1,766 initiatives in foreign countries. 1,766 in foreign countries. We're spending billions on projects that yield nothing. Let me see what I just expanded it here. Let me see what
You can just click on that link.
Yeah,
take you right to that page. I was going through them all.
Well, 1 in 4 Canadians lives in poverty. So, and then this is kind of like what we looked at. Remember when we did that our own search there when we were looking at the government projects? But I mean, it's just unbelievable, right? A health security partnership to strengthen disease surveillance and epidemic intelligence in Africa, 3 million. That would be 8. Here's an 18 million one. A new partnership for sustainable impact and investing in frontier markets. Mennonite Economic Development Associates of Canada, 19 million.
Ooh, I want some of that Mennonite money.
It's
18 million for 1,000 women.
It's infuriating. It's infuriating. It's just showing. Oh, now I got this guy mowing the lawn again.
Is that the lawnmower? Can you go tell me?
He's having problems with his lawnmower. He can only mow it. It'll go off in like 20 seconds. He just jumps in it like every day for 20 seconds and it shuts down.
What the fuck kind of crackhead street you live on?